Finally, New York Times op-ed writer and resident economist Paul Krugman states the obvious. In his column today, he calls Ben Carson a liar. Doesn't mince words. He says Mr. Carson lied. At the same time, the Daily Beast has a piece out about this filthy scam company that Ben Carson was involved in. Krugman writes, at one point during Wednesday's Republican debate, Ben Carson was asked about his involvement with Mannatech, a nutritional supplements company that makes outlandish claims about its products and has been forced to pay $7 million to settle a deceptive practices lawsuit. The audience booed at the question, and Carson denied being involved with the company. Both reactions, the audience and Carson, tell you a lot about the driving forces behind modern American politics. As it happens, Mr. Carson lied. He has indeed been deeply involved with Mannatech and has done a lot to help promote its merchandise. PolitiFact quickly rated his claim false without qualification. But the Republican base doesn't want to hear about it. And the candidate apparently believes, probably correctly, that he can simply brazen it out. These days, in his party, being an obvious grifter isn't a liability and may even be an asset. Now, when you stop and think about that, being a grifter, that's so true. Look at the scam artists that are part of, or all of, the Republican field. Look at them. Every single one of them could be identified as a snake oil salesman, a liar, a cheat, a grifter. Krugman goes on, and this doesn't just go for outsider candidates like Carson and Trump. Insider politicians like Marco Rubio are simply engaged in a different, classier kind of scam. And they are empowered in part by the way the grifters have defined respectability down. And then Krugman goes on, he says about the grifters, start with the lowest level in which marketers use political affinity to sell get-rich-quick schemes, miracle cures, and crap like that. That's the Carson phenomenon. And it's just the latest of a long tradition. As the historian Rick Perlstein documents, a, quote, strategic alliance of snake oil vendors and conservative true believers, end quote, goes back half a century. Direct mail marketing using addresses taken from political campaigns has given way to email, but the game remains the same. At a somewhat higher level, are marketing campaigns more or less tied to what purports to be policy analysis? Right-wing warnings of imminent hyperinflation, coupled with demands that we return to the gold standard, were fanned by figures like Glenn Beck, who used his show to promote Goldline, a firm selling gold coins in bars at, well, inflated prices. Sure enough, Mr. Beck has been a vocal backer of Ted Cruz, Rafael Cruz, who has made a return to gold one of his signature policy positions. Oh, and former Congressman Ron Paul, who has spent decades warning of runaway inflation and is undaunted by its failure to materialize, is very much in the business of selling books and videos showing how you, too, can protect yourself from the coming financial disaster. Last week, the Times published an investigative report on some political action committees raising money in the name of anti-establishment conservative causes. And I read this, by the way. The report found that the bulk of the money these PACs raise ends up going to cover administrative costs and consultants' fees. Very little to their ostensible purpose. For example, only 14% of what the so-called Tea Party Leadership Fund spends is candidate-focused, 14%. It's the oldest scam in the world. It's the same scam that the itinerant preachers used to use, and now they're not itinerant anymore. They have huge buildings, great congregations of 5, 10, 20, 25,000 suckers who go in there every weekend or whatever and give their money to the con artists standing in the pulpit or on the television screen or whatever. You know who they are. You know how vile and filthy these people are, especially the ones who call themselves Christians, because one of the first actions taken by their avatar was to drive the money changers out of the temple. That doesn't mean anything to these people, not a thing.